Hi DRE 098, my name is Miss Sittel and I am going to be your teacher, except for today because school got canceled because of snow, which is kind of nice. We have one more day where we don't have to meet every day for an 8 a.m. class, and I hope you enjoyed sleeping in a little bit as much as I did. But Wake Tech's policy is that when we do miss a day for weather, that we need to make up that time that we would have spent in class. So I am going to give you a couple of activities to do. They are really low pressure. They are, in my opinion, not terribly challenging. They won't require you to do any research or do any reading or anything like that. This is all about a chance for me to get to know you a little bit better, particularly as it pertains to this class. So I'm really interested, since this is reading and integrated developmental reading in English, or excuse me, developmental reading in English, integrated reading and writing 3. I do know the name of my own class. I care a lot about that integration or that connection between reading and writing. And they say good readers make good writers, which in my experience is true. And we do focus a lot on writing, but before you can be a writer, you have to be a reader. So I want you to do some reflection on your own history, your own experience as a reader up until this point. And you'll hand in the writings that you do for that, and I will count that as your attendance for class today. And if you don't do that, then you'll be counted as absent for today, and your entry date would be the first day that you actually physically show up to class. So it shouldn't take too long, but hopefully this will be something that's at least somewhat interesting and enjoyable. In my experience, we all like to write about ourselves, we all like to think about ourselves, and like I said, it will really give me a good idea of who you are as a reader. What are your experiences with reading? How do you feel about reading? How do you feel about yourself as a reader? All that kind of stuff. So you're going to need something to write with and something to write on. So if you don't have a pen and paper with you, pause the video, go grab one. I'll be right here waiting. And go. Unpause. Cool. Okay, so you should have something to read, you should have something to write with and something to write on. There will be no reading in this video. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to lead you in a little bit of a guided meditation. If that sounds a little funny, guided reflection on yourself as a reader. Excuse me. I hope you too have something yummy and warm to drink. Now, I want you to think for a minute about just a time when you were enjoying reading. You can close your eyes for this if you want to. You don't have to. You can just kind of watch me and think. Think about a time that you enjoyed an experience of reading. You may have been reading to yourself, but someone may have also been reading to you. It's okay if it was someone else reading to you. You may have a lot of positive memories of reading, so try to narrow it down to just that one. This is where closing your eyes might help, because I want you to imagine in your mind's eye, your imagination, the details of that reading experience. Thinking about how big is the book? What does it feel like? Are the pages thick or thin? Are there illustrations? You may be thinking about something that you've read on like a tablet or a phone. That's perfectly fine too. So you may not have as much of that visceral memory, but also think about your environment. Are you sitting? Are you lying down? Indoors, outdoors, in your bedroom, in the living room? Is someone else with you? Is that person reading to you? If they are, what does their voice sound like? If you're reading to yourself, what does it sound like in your mind when you read? What's going on in what you're reading? If it's a story, are there characters that you love and relate to? What is making this reading experience so positive? And then lastly, what does it feel like when you have to stop? Either the book is over, or you've gotten to the end of the article, or you have to put a bookmark in your big novel because you have to go somewhere. So I want you to take those feelings and write a little bit of a journal entry about this positive experience of reading. Now, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, she just asked a million questions and I will have to rewind this video so much in order to get this journal written, don't worry. I'm going to post a little handout to go with it so that you have the questions written down so that you can also see, okay, this is what I should be doing, or this is the questions that I can answer in order to create this journal entry. So I want you to spend at least 10 to 15 minutes working on composing this scene for me. I'm your reader. I want to know all of what's going on in your experience of this positive reading time that you're having, and I want to feel like I'm you. I want to feel like I'm there. You don't have to type it, you can handwrite it. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect grammar or punctuation. I'm not going to be looking at that or grading based on that. So that's your first activity. Your second one is related, and on that same little handout where I give you some of the questions for your journal, I'm also going to be giving more instructions and that sort of thing for this second activity. I want you to think about your entire history as a reader. Now, of course, you could probably spend hours on this if you really get into it. Don't spend hours on this unless you really want to, please. There are some guiding questions on the handout, such as, do you remember learning how to read? Do you remember a book you loved to read when you were little? Do you remember a book that was really influential? A book you really didn't like? That sort of thing. And you'll kind of plot them on a timeline. I'm not going to fact check this. I can't. If you don't remember exactly when you read, I don't know, Harry Potter for the first time, but you know you loved it, make a rough guess. If you can't remember whether you were 8 or 9, I don't care. Rough guess. So you'll have a little life timeline. You'll fill in some important points in your reading history, your history as a reader, and that'll kind of give you, as well as me, sort of an idea of maybe what happened. If maybe you loved reading when you were younger, but you don't like it anymore, or you love reading science fiction novels, but you don't like reading anything for school. Like, where did that kind of happen? Why do you think that happened? Part of being a really good reader, writer, thinker, communicator is being critical. Not being judgmental and mean, but really analyzing, why is this like it is? What happened here? And being self-analytical, self-reflective is also super important, because you can't really be very good at reflecting and analyzing other stuff until you're good at reflecting and analyzing yourself. So that's sort of what your activity is to make up for our class time today on Thursday, January 4th. Now, the sort of catch-22 here is that I will post this to Blackboard, and the announcement will go out to your Wake Tech email. So if you know to check your Wake Tech email, you're the people who are watching this right now. The people who don't know to check their Wake Tech email won't see this until I tell them about it. So if you're one of those people, or if you're thinking, you know, Ms. Sittel, I just don't have time to get this done by tomorrow, don't worry. I don't want it tomorrow. You don't really have any homework over the weekend, so I'll let you guys have the weekend for this. Try not to spend over an hour and 15 minutes on it, because that's our class time, so don't stress about it. Don't worry too much about it. If you're still like, what is this class even about? The first day that we meet face-to-face, I will go over all those ins and outs, nitty-gritty policy procedure of this class. I don't think doing it on a video is a great idea. What I want from you is I just want some time for you to start to think about, who am I as a reader? And that ties into who you are as a writer. The theme of this class is actually identity. Everything we read and write about in this class will have to do with identity. So thinking about your own identity as a reader, your history as a reader, why you feel the way you do about reading, that actually ties in really well to our course too. So take a look at the attached link. The attached little file should be on the announcement, as well as, yeah, it should be on the announcement. There you go. So you should see it in the email you get for this announcement, and when you go onto Blackboard for this page, the very first page you see is announcements, and then the announcement will be there too, with the little link to the file that will have the instructions for the journal and for the reading history timeline. So if you've got questions, don't worry about it. Just ask them on our first day. Hopefully our first day meeting together will be on tomorrow, Friday. And if not, that's not ideal for this class because we only meet 40 days, and missing 2 of those days means we have already missed 5% of the class. Yay! So that stresses me out as your teacher, but on the other hand, I do like the sleeping in business. Okay, so those are your marching orders. Like I said, if you're really confused, if you have questions, just hold off starting the assignment until you see me, because I know there are going to be people, I can talk, who don't see this before they see me in class for the first time. So have a great snow day. Stay safe if you have to go out in this weather. It's cold, it's kind of icy, but it's 11:15, so I can tell it's already starting to melt a little. Maybe we'll have class tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you guys. I looked at the class roster. I do recognize a couple names, so hey to people who know me. And cheers to one more day of winter break. See you tomorrow.